These are the 12 signs of a toxic woman. Number 1, she's always questioning where you are and will get upset if you don't immediately answer her calls or texts.
Okay, so I'm going to, before I start getting into this guy's talking really fast. I got to get it in there real quick. But these are going to be 12 signs that of a toxic woman. And the first one he said is that she is always questioning what you're doing, where you are, what's going on. If you're dating a woman who is like this is a very bad sign. And for women, you need to hear this as well. While it may feel good, it may feel like, well, you're checking up on him. You really want to know what he's doing. You miss him. You want to show him that you care, that you love him, that you want to be near him. That actually comes off as insecure, clingy, needy. And that for us as women, we think we're showing love. We think we're showing connection, because women, that's how we connect. We like to draw things into us and nurture it and take care of it. But for a man, it just says, wow, we really get together, or we really progress in this relationship further and further, I will have no freedom. If she's like this now, it's gonna get much worse the more we go in this, the distance that we go, and the more committed, and you guys have kids or anything, have a life together, he's going to be in jail basically. And that's what he feels. And so if a man feels like he doesn't have freedom, in fact, loss of freedom is one of the top things men say was why they won't commit to a woman, because he knows he can't be who he's always been or who he wants to be without her getting, overly emotional or punishing him or acting crazy, like clingy and needy and desperate.
Number 2, she never apologizes or admit when she's wrong. She's always trying to take the guilt away from herself. Number 3, she's spiteful.
Okay, so wow. Hey, that right there is a huge one. I actually just did a YouTube short about this. When a woman who cannot admit when she's wrong. There is out there, Kevin Samuels made popular the sign language thing, which is where she uses shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be right. And the need to be right, generally a woman, before she will admit she's sorry or wrong, she will go through shame, then insults and guilt, and especially the need to be right. Keep moving the goalposts and further away. And the thing is, men are very forgiving creatures. They learn to let things go way better than a woman does, except for cheating. That is something a man will not let go. But in general, if it's just relationship things that go on, a man will he will be forgiving and really forget it. He won't keep bringing it up. But for us as women, we cannot admit that we are wrong. And I think it's because, we see things, we like to read into things, we like to feel things. We feel as though we can kind of convince a man, or because we are usually more verbally, I would say we're more verbal. We know how to just keep sparring with words. Men can spar with hands. We use our words to spar with somebody. And so this is where you find where we will just keep going on and on and on, trying to explain away, trying to justify, trying to then turn the tables on him. Well, I did this because of it, on and on. But it's rare to just say, you know what, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And for a man to get that, it's like worth its weight in gold to him. Men across the board, feel as though a woman who apologizes is she is 1 in a million.
Number 3, she's spiteful, holds grudges, and can even be violent.
Okay, this is another thing. I just said men generally aren't spiteful. They usually don't hold grudges unless it's a long period of time and you've been exhibiting the same thing over and over without actually trying to change anything. And this is key, because if a woman is spiteful and she holds grudges and she acts a certain way, that actually can be a sign of some some underlying psychological issues that you don't want to deal with in the long run. You need to get out now. That is something that could be fixed if it's just a behavior pattern, but it usually can be indicative of some very deep and troubling issues underneath, and get out before you get out unscathed. But I will say being forgiving and a woman just not letting something go or using something over and over. Every time you guys get into an argument, she takes what you did in the past and keeps adding on to it. So you feel as though the bill is never paid. It's kind of like a payday loan place or kind of like a shady credit card thing where you make a purchase and then you pay it off or you pay it down, but then they stack on all these other charges and you don't really know that the other charges exist. It's kind of like, well, we have a spokesperson fee. We have a new green credit card color fee. I don't know, whatever. But it's these hidden fees that you're not aware of. And so that when the big deal bill comes due, she's pulling out the list of all the charges. And you're like, well, I paid for that. I made amends. I fixed that. But no, you had all these other charges, hidden charges that you didn't know about. And so now you are in default now that you've defaulted on the payment and we're about to lock up your credit. And this is what a man can feel like. We as women are going to have to learn how to forgive and literally forget. I don't care what it is, unless it is something major, like cheating, those types of things. But like, we've got to learn to let something go and really let it go, because men cannot take the pile up list of things they're doing wrong. I mean, who would want to be in a relationship where they just feel like they're always messing up? And even if they try to make it right, there'll be no forgiveness. There'll be no forgiveness. Who would want to be in that? And he also talks about being violent. That for sure. If a person is violent, man or woman, but especially women, we feel as though because a man is bigger, he's stronger. And when our words don't get through, this is the thing, we as women, we can assault with words. It's a fact. We will verbally assault. And when that's not cutting, when we think he's not listening, when he's not really hearing it, what do? Well, we can hit, we can do things, throw things, because we're trying to show our emotion. Or a lot of times women who are like this, who exhibit this behavior, once again, they have deep issues that they shouldn't be with anybody. They need to be sitting with a therapist, or perhaps if they've put hands on you, they need to be where they're acting crazy all the time, throwing stuff, doing things. I mean, just they don't have control of their body. And you're seeing this early on. More and more. They gotta go. They gotta go.
Number 4, she's incapable of trust. She's always accusing you of cheating.
So she's accusing you of cheating all the time. Like this usually harkens back to a couple things. One, she's been cheated on in the past. So she's taking the sins of another man and putting them onto you. And we as women, we will do that. We will take the trauma and the sins of another man and put it onto the man that we're currently with, or just assume he's cheating because he's not texting back right away, or he goes out with his friends. Maybe the guy in your past, maybe a man in your past, maybe it wasn't a guy you were dating, maybe your dad or your mother's boyfriend, whoever, your friends, or maybe you're just insecure. Whatever it is, we can't assign things to a man if we don't have evidence of it. And if you're that fearful that a man is cheating, that says more about why are you with a man who you have to have these types of doubts with. If he's a good man, he's not going to make you feel insecure. And if you're nitpicking everything he does as a way to show your insecurity or draw him or pull him back into you, it's really a sign of control. And nobody wants to be controlled. He's an individual. He has free choice. And if he wants to text or go out, he can do that. But you as a woman, if that's not what you want, then you need to make a decision to not be in that relationship. But trying to stranglehold him into being just yours and he can't make a move without you being insecure is just your problem. It's not for him to deal with.
Number 5, she keeps tabs on your mistakes and will throw them in your face when she's upset.
Okay, so this harkens back to what I said before. She's going to keep tabs on your mistake and constantly look for ways to reaffirm something that she suspects, or intuition, or her insecurity. So over and over, it doesn't matter if you try to improve or you try to do better, she's just going to keep bringing it up. It's going to become a laundry list, and you can never please someone like this. It's just a fact.
Number 6, she will use a lack of intimacy as currency or punishment.
Ooh, Woo, Lord. Okay, guys, I just did a video about the 90-day rule and why that is not a good way to start a relationship or a good thing to do. So make sure you check out that video on my channel. But that lack of intimacy, it's weaponizing sex, and it's using it as a weapon. And let's be honest, for a lot of us women, that's what we do. If we feel like the man is not living up to the standard that we want, or we don't like something he did, I understand. For us, for men, a lot of times I've heard men describe it like this, so I'm not trying to be crass, but they say sometimes sex can be like taking a dump or taking a pee. They will say those things because it's an act. It's not exactly, they're not tied to emotions. Now, it can be, if they're in a relationship with a woman, it will be tied to their emotions. And a lot of men who don't even want to sleep with a woman no more because he's tired of her. That happens too. But for the most part, women will use it as a way to control a man. Well, he ain't getting none unless he does this, that, and the other. That is very toxic, very manipulative. And it's basically taking away one of his basic needs. And it's unfair to do it like that. It would be better to learn how to communicate effectively and go to therapy. There's all types of things you should do, but weaponizing sex is very, very, very toxic behavior.
Number 7, she will use temper tantrums and fighting to stop you from having a life outside of her.
Ooh, that goes into the other point he said, temper tantrums and fighting to stop him from having a life outside of her. Maybe causing a fight when he's about to go out, or when he says he's going to go to his, hang out with the boys, or he wants to do his hobby. This is probably a bigger thing than just going out, but his hobby. Saying, how are you going to go and do this and you hadn't done this in the house? Or you're spending time with me. You don't want to spend time with me. Or what? Let me go with you. Or causing drama. A person who cannot detach themselves from you, they can't let you be autonomous. They can't let you be your own individual person. It's like living in a dictatorship. It's like living in a prison, in a jail, where they have to ask the warden or the jailer or the officer, can you please let me out my cell? I don't know. And then they start getting it. Well, you didn't make your bed and that you didn't do 100 push-ups. I don't know. They don't do that in prison, but you get what I'm saying? Like, they have to meet these criteria and then they can go out like a good boy, or it's like treating them like a child. And if you cause drama and toxicity every time he wants to leave the house, it will cause some type of form of PTSD where he's scared. And that's where sneaking comes in. That's where doing things and not telling you, and where the honesty is going to leave that relationship. Because just because you berate or try to stop a man from doing something, it does not change his desire to actually do it. It just lets him know he can't trust you with what he actually wants to do. So he's going to hide, and you know where that's going to go. Not to cheating, but just to him disconnecting from you and eventually the relationship failing.
Number 8, she has a double standard, asking you to do things she's not willing to do.
This is a big thing. So it goes back to even one of the things I said, a woman apologizing. Will she require you need to apologize, make amends, or talk about something or whatever? But if a man has something that she's done, the same is not given. And it will be, I notice in a lot of relationships, and we as women, what we'll do is, he needs to be caring. He needs to be loving. He needs to ask me how my day is. He needs to do this, that, and the other. And we have this list of standards that a man should do, but we don't ask him what his standards are, because generally men don't verbalize it. They just kind of just expect it. And this is a communication issue with men because most people don't ask men what they want. So they're not used to saying it. They're not used to verbalizing it. But we as women, we're encouraged to just constantly talk about what we want, constantly, have these expectations. But if a man has standards or expectations, oh, it's a problem. This is especially true if we go into some of the things that and are going on with modern dating now, where a lot of women have a physical height requirement for a man, or he got to have this, or he's got to have a certain amount of money. Women can have this standard, but as soon as a man says he wants her to be fit, feminine, and friendly, and cooperative, all these other things that they want, oh Lord, it's World War III. Why are we allowed to have standards, but the man should just take us as we are because we're a prize? It's narcissistic to think that you are so special, or that other people don't have needs outside of what you're willing to give. It's a double standard for sure.
Number 9, she'll belittle your accomplishments or point out your flaws and attempt to give you low self-esteem.
Wow, this is very true. And this goes both ways. But today we're talking about what a woman would do. If she tries to belittle maybe your hobbies, maybe you like certain video games, or you're into a bowling league, or you're interested in certain things, or I've actually seen this. If a man starts to try to work out or do something like that, and the woman will be like, why are you always at the gym? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I remember years ago, my dad wanted to grow dreadlocks. And my dad really just wanted that. I take fault of this too, because I kind of sided with my mom, because I was like, you're an older guy. This is like 15 years ago, y'all. So like, he wanted to grow dreadlocks, and my mom was like, that looks crazy. That looks like this. That looks like that. He wanted to get his earpiece. That's gonna look this. That's gonna look that. And we've gotten past that as a family. But at the time, I kind of like was siding with her and like kind of like, yeah, Dad, you're too old. But that was belittling him. Like, the man doesn't ask for much. The man ain't doing much. He just thought he would. He always wanted dreadlocks and an earring, and his wife and his daughter decided to belittle and put it down and really convince him why he shouldn't. This is toxic behavior, and I'm ashamed that that's how it was, because I look back and say the poor guy just wanted to do something for his own body, and we had to say something. And it's not good. And that makes a person feel like they're in jail. They can't be who they want to be. Now, if a person says they want to go do something crazy or something that can get them killed or something that scares you, that's one thing. But if a person just wants to express themselves in a new way or try a new hobby, or he wants to do things like that, to try to stop him, he's just going to want to break free of you.
Number 10, she'll use emotion as a weapon. Crying, anger, and sadness will instantly stop when she gets her way.
Ooh, yes. This is, and I want to say, I don't think most women, no, I'm not going to say most women, because I don't know. I don't have the data on that. I'll say from my experience that if I'm crying or if I get emotional about something, I do expect a certain response from a guy. I'm expecting him to comfort me, or I'm expecting him to change. I'm expecting those tears to change something in him. Now, I may be crying genuine tears. It's not like I'm trying to manipulate, but I do have this expectations, if I'm honest, that he'll respond in the way I want him to respond. And generally it's to agree with me or and it can be seen or be used by some women as a manipulation tool, whether they mean to do it or not. And to do this, there's a couple reasons why this is wrong. I have a video. I actually have I have it on Instagram and TikTok. Of course, follow me on both. Like I said, different content on both. But I talk about being an emotional punching bag, which, where a man is supposed to just take all of our emotions whenever we feel like just punching him with whatever emotion we're feeling. We just want to cry. We want to vent. We want to do this and that and the other. Men can't take it. They're not built to withstand and hold all of our emotions. We assume they can. We assume this because they generally don't talk about their emotions. So we think they don't have any. We think their cup is empty. Our cup is full. So they got to go somewhere. Might as well spill it onto the empty, put it into the empty cup so he can take it. But the man can. He's just learned through years of conditioning and being told to stop crying, stop acting like a beast, stop acting like a woman who hurt you, man up. They've used to bottling up what they feel. They've learned to find solutions for the emotions they feel versus venting them. Why? Because no one wants to hear what they feel. No one wants to hear what they have to say. They know no one is coming to save them. No one is coming. I love when Mel Robbins talks about that, where no one's coming to soothe and heal their emotions. So they've learned to just deal with them and channel that energy somewhere else. But if we just use that as a way to get our way and it just cause all this chaos because he just sits there and take it, over time, sis, he is going to disconnect and that relationship is doomed.
Number 11, she resorts to ultimatums when things don't go her way. Number 12.
Ooh. The ultimatums. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Ultimatums come from really an overinflated view of self with a lot of things, and it's a poor communication style. Like, if he don't commit to me, all it is, I'm sorry, but listen, I dare say there's not a single woman alive, maybe some, who hasn't used some form of ultimatum where we've threatened to leave the relationship. Usually men don't threaten to leave the relationship. We as women will threaten over and over. We're going to leave. Well, I should just leave. I should just walk away. Because we want that person to change something. And instead of learning better ways to communicate, learning to let some things go, we threaten the state of the relationship so he can prove how much he wants us, prove that, how much he needs us by begging to stay or making that change because he doesn't want to lose us. When over time, that may work very early and it's very immature, but it may work early on, but over time he's gonna, the threats just become, okay, well, we'll go. And now some guys will beg and stay, but generally those aren't the guys. Women will just keep running over them with this same type of behavior, and we know where that leads.
Number 12, she has extreme behavior. She can be obsessive, jealous, or her emotions can go from 0 to 100 in a couple of seconds.
Ooh, okay. This is very true. Now, one disclosure, I've said it many times, but I talk about how I discovered I had ADHD last year. And one of the things about me that I never understood is that for people with ADHD, it's actually a brain disorder. So it can be your greatest strength and it can be your greatest weakness. One of the weaknesses that come with it is that our emotions can come out as anger. They can come out as frustration. And it just seems like we can explode and we're just not sure why. And until you take actual steps to learn how to process your emotions with my type of brain, it can be jarring to people. And I never recognized it. I used to just say, well, I'm just being myself. I can't help it. People can't take it, because I had other good qualities. I was compassionate. I would listen to people. I would try to empathize, and those things. I was like, well, can't people just take the things that are not perfect in me? But the reality is nobody has to take anything from you, that nobody has to accept you. No one's coming to rescue you. No one's coming to fix you. There's no one who's going to complete you. You have to become the best version of yourself. And you cannot take, well, that's just the way I am. I got a temper. I can't help it. Nobody cares, nor does anyone should or will they accept that. And that's one thing I've had to learn over time, is that it doesn't matter if I have 1,000 things right. No one has to accept the one thing that they don't like, especially if it really rubs them the wrong way. But I will say women in general, we will have these explosive kind of emotions bottled up, and it just explodes and we will go off. Men from early age have been trained not to be so combative, with words. I'm not saying there aren't men who don't, especially this younger generation. They're not built like some of our older guys that are out there that are more stoic in nature. But I will say they will we as women will just be going off and all in his face and all this other stuff, and we just explode. And the world should just accept it. He should just accept it. It's just normal. It's just the way I am. You made me so upset I couldn't help but do it. Doesn't that sound like an abuser? I was so upset I couldn't help but do that. That's not something that you should be doing. And a man can't take it. He's scared of the hair trigger. He's scared of upsetting you. He's scared of what may happen next. Listen, we all make mistakes. And some of us, it's not our fault, the mistakes that we have. We're born with different things. We were raised in certain families. We all come from somewhere. But it is up to us to take ownership and to fix those things. Nobody has to accept it. Nobody will accept it. And if you're finding you're getting bad results, you're going to have to take a look in the mirror and take accountability and realize, you know what? This is toxic. I should not be doing this, and I need to change. So if you like this video and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or you hate me so much and you want to be obsessed with me and pick apart this video because you're a stalker and that's your life. Go ahead and do it, because I'll still be right here when you're all done.